proud and really privileged to be able to talk to you today about the Olympic sponsorship that Cadbury took on. It really was a magical event, not just for the Irish consumers, the Irish public, as Tim said. It certainly captured the imagination of the public, but also from a Cadbury brand perspective as well. It genuinely has made me so proud and excited that the activity that we did and the campaign that happened over the few months has truly been some of the most magical stuff that the Cadbury brand has done. And as Tim mentioned, I have worked on Cadbury a long time, but what I've had such pride over in the last few months is that when I've looked at the brand over the last number of years and the strength that it's gone to year after year, the Olympics has certainly topped it off. So just before Karl talks a little bit about the Olympics, I just want to remind you all about the power of the Cadbury brand. So Cadbury is the #1 chocolate confectionery brand within the market and has been for a huge number of years. It's been manufacturing in Ireland since 1932, and as we all know, it truly is an Irish brand. It's certainly part of the fabric of the country, and we've all grown up with Cadbury and Cadbury Dairy Milk. Also the fact that the factory in Poolock is still there. People, when they open up a bar of the 8 square Cadbury Dairy Milk, they transport themselves to what it could look like in the factory. So there's a huge magical wonder, warmth, belief associated with the Cadbury brand. And when we looked at the sponsorship and the opportunity that we had around the London 2012 Olympic Games, there's also a huge warmth associated with the Games. There's a huge belief, there's a huge level of trust within the Games as well. It truly is the biggest show on earth. It truly is inclusive, and so is the Cadbury brand. And that's why we felt it really, really was a match made in heaven. And when we look back over the last few years of what I suppose the reinvention that the brand has gone through, people will remember the gorilla and the eyebrows ad. Those two pieces of communication and that whole glass and half full production strategy certainly changed the brand. It took the brand into a much more modern world. It brought new consumers into the brand and got people talking about the brand in a really, really different way. And as if that wasn't enough, then we moved it forward again, and at the end of last year and into this year, we launched the biggest ever chocolate initiative talking about the Cadbury Dairy Milk taste. And when we launched that campaign, again we got people talking about it in a new way. We thought that was it. How can we actually get it to drive even more preference and get people talking about it? And what the Olympics did for us was it showed you can take a big brand such as Cadbury, a big, big engine that's been around for so long, and transform it even further. And it certainly captured the imagination of the public, it captured the imagination internally as well, because we changed the game. So when we look back at the activity that we've achieved, what the Olympics and the sponsorship did for us was it showed you could take the biggest brand and do something even with it again, when you might think that even you're at the top already. We grew 1.6 share points, which doesn't seem a lot, but actually it is when you're already 47% share of the market. So 1.6 share points to grow in the last 6 months is absolutely fantastic, and a huge amount of that is driven by the activity that we've done within the sponsorship. So I'm going to hand you over to Karl now to talk a little bit more about what we did around the sponsorship.
Morning everybody. As Greta alluded to there, Cadbury, it's a mature brand in a mature market. So for us, to emulate campaigns like Gorilla, like Eyebrows, and even the latest campaign which Tim just referred to quite a couple of minutes ago, Joyville, which if you've seen TV lately, you may have seen some little purple guys running around TV. To emulate that, it had to be something a little bit different, a little bit special. We have our hands full, emulating these campaigns. Some might say a glass and a half full, but it is difficult. But what we saw in Olympics was something fresh, something exciting, a little bit different, a little bit new, and something the Cadbury brand hadn't actually gone towards before. The greatest event in the world, the biggest global event, and it was right on our doorstep. The opportunity was too good for us to turn down. We quickly became official treat provider on a global level. After that, we localised, so we did same with the Irish Paralympic team and the Irish Olympic team. So immediately we had some relevance here in the Irish market as well. And we began to drive that equity quite soon after that. So right from the off, and this is about 4 years ago, we kicked off our Spots v Stripes campaign, and followed that up with more campaigns after that, including the likes of the Goo Games Cadbury Cremate campaign. But as we kind of got towards the dawn of Olympic year 2012, what we found was consumers and Irish consumers weren't all that excited still about the Olympic Games. They hadn't reached that kind of fever pitch that we, perhaps we had hoped 2012 would bring. So from our point of view, we needed to break down those barriers. The insight we got was we needed to bring the consumers closer to the Games. And actually delving a little bit deeper into this, we saw there was actually 4 different types of Irish Olympic viewer, and we actually gave them names. So we had fanatic Freds, we had eager Eddies, we had passive Pats, and we had apathetic Annies. So I suppose our job between January 2012 right the way up to mid-July, which was Games time itself, was to turn as many Annies and Pats into Eddies and Freds. And in essence, that's essentially what we look to do. I suppose the first piece of activity that we looked to implement this new strategy on was Unwrapped Gold. Greta actually is going to tell us a little bit more about Unwrapped Gold. So.
Okay, so as Karl mentioned, the big thing that we wanted to do is we wanted to encourage as many people to become closer to the Games. We know that there's a magical spirit that exists in every single one of us. And when we think about where we were at different Irish moments over the years, we can relate to that. They're not that many, but when we remember them, they're absolutely massive. So we knew that we could do something that was going to be really powerful to get people closer to the Games. This was going to be the closest thing that we would ever have to having the Games in Ireland. We were never going to be able to hold the Olympic Games, so this was our opportunity. And we knew that because it was in London, we had a really powerful opportunity to get people closer. So as Karl mentioned, we didn't want to wait until the Games itself. We wanted to launch the biggest activity that we could from April in the lead up to the Games, so that we had a really powerful platform once the Games begun. So as Karl mentioned, we launched Unwrapped Gold, and that's an example there of the display that we brought in store. We were working on the insight, and if you remember back to a famous chocolate factory, where only people who had that golden ticket were allowed to enter into the chocolate factory, that was the magic that we were trying to create, and that was the magic and the wonder that we were trying to bring to life with Unwrapped Gold. What the beauty of Unwrapped Gold was it's actually a really simple mechanic. It was really easy to communicate, and it was really easy to explain to consumers what it was. So what we did across our #1 sellers, across all our different formats, we put 100 golden vouchers into products around the country. We apportioned them into every single country in Ireland to make it a really truly campaign, to bring the Olympics at a very local level around the country, and also the Cadbury brand, which already is local, very much part of the community. We dialed up the PR with the help of MC Square to really talk about the consumers that are wanted at a local level. As consumers started to win tickets, we talked about it and created some media around that as well. So at the end of the campaign, we had 100 people already closer to the Games and going to the Games. The magic of Unwrapped Gold is really easy to explain. And we put a massive big campaign around it as well. The fact that we did it across every single format meant that it was the biggest chocolate promotion that we had ever done. Because what it meant was consumers could enter the promotion across many different formats, in many different stores, and it reached out to a lot more people than we would have traditionally focused on before. We relied on a really heavyweight television and outdoor campaign, and we prioritised those 2 formats while they might be traditional, but it was really important to drive the awareness and to explain to people what this was. It wasn't a complicated vehicle, but it was simply unwrapped a bar and you could be in with a chance to go to the greatest show on earth. So the TV and the outdoor were really powerful. But that wasn't enough. What we wanted to do was we wanted to really truly interrupt every consumer as much as possible, to give every single shopper and every single consumer an opportunity to enter the promotion. So we dialed up on the go, and through mobile we became the first advertiser through mobile to have a scratch and win facility on their phones, to scratch open that golden voucher to be allowed to win. Another thing that we did that was differently was one morning every single person in Ireland woke up to some really different outdoor campaign that we worked with PhD on, which was giant size bags or giant size multi-packs of what the promotion was. So it was very different outdoor, again drawing people and interrupting them on the way in store. On the mobile that I mentioned earlier on, we had 15,000 people scratching and with 12 million messages sent over the 4 weeks of promotion. So it was absolutely fantastic. And over that period of time with the Unwrapped Gold, we delivered 200 basis points, so 2 share points just over those 4 weeks of the promotion, which was absolutely massive. And that was a testament to the activation that we'd done out there, and also the fact that we did it across every single format. But it wasn't just enough in interrupting consumers out of store. they wanted to bring it to life and really bring the experience of the Olympics and really bring the experience of the Cadbury brand in store. And that was an example of a display there in the middle as to how we brought the magic and display in store, and we interrupted shoppers as they walked in to unwrap that gold instantaneously in the store. So now I'm going to hand you over to Karl, who's going to talk to you about the next instalment. So what happened at the end of Unwrap Gold? We had 100 people going to the game, so we definitely brought 100 people closer. We'd reached 2.5 million people in Ireland with this campaign. So we had touched 2.5 million people. They were starting to become excited. The anticipation was building, and now they were ready to take on the games. And that was just part one. So now we move to Game On. I'm going to hand you over to Karl.
So, as Greta said, we sprinkled a little bit of purple magic pre-games, I suppose, on Irish consumers with regards to them getting excited about the games. But we were right there now. So we brought ourselves right up to games time. So picture yourself early, mid-July. And this is what we've been building to for the last 4 years. It really was our end game. So, you know, off the back of Spots v Stripes, off the back of our Go Games campaign, and off the back of what Greta's just described in terms of Unwrap Gold, what we did at games time needed to be big. And I suppose from our point of view, for it to be big, we needed a platform that was big enough for Cadbury, a platform that Cadbury was accustomed to, a platform that helped us, I suppose, get the message across, get people excited about the games, and ultimately a platform that could bring Irish consumers, through our messaging, a little bit closer to the Olympic Games themselves. By partnering with RTE, we got that, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a couple of minutes. Right, so we had the platform, we had a great insight into the Irish psyche, so what we needed to do was more or less work out how do we make that work during games time itself, because the lead up to the games is very different to how Irish people and Irish consumers act during games time itself and how they actually, I suppose, take an event or a major sporting event in. So it was as simple as that. It was just to pinpoint how Irish behave during big sporting events. What comes to the fore at this time? How do we behave as a nation? And you know, what do we take from these events? And you know, we did a lot of soul searching. We did a lot of you know, sweating this. And the guys in the audience will definitely you know, be testament to that. But what we came at was, or the decision we came to, was that one thing does come out every time an Irish team, an Irish athlete, whatever it might be, partakes in a major sporting event, and that's the Irish spirit. So it's that Irish spirit that makes you jump around like somebody half your age when Katie Taylor's on the ropes in the third round fighting for the gold medal. It's that Irish spirit that makes Irish crowds renowned for whatever stadium and whatever part of the world they happen to visit. It's that Irish spirit that makes you, you know, run down the stairs at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning to see Michael Carruth fight in Barcelona for his gold medal, all huddled around the TV. That's the Irish spirit. But what manifests that spirit, and I think I've probably touched on it in just what I've said there, what we found was what manifests or what brings that spirit to the fore is great moments, is great Irish moments, but also great Irish Olympic moments. And that was the nugget of information that we needed to go and create our Games Time campaign. So I suppose what is the essence, or what are the essence of these moments? I was going to ask you all to close your eyes. It's a little bit dark, so I hope you don't, you know, fall asleep. But the very essence of those moments, the iconic commentary. So think of a great Irish Olympic moment. Maybe not all think of Katie, but something from the past. The iconic commentary, the roar of the crowd, that timeless visual. So that little snippet of 10 seconds that you remember of that moment. That surge of pride, that surge of emotion. And basically what you're doing is you're enjoying the moment. So there you go, I've said it, it's the first time I've said it so far this morning, enjoying the moment. And it's those amazing Olympic moments, both past but also future. We made sure it was past and future. And deliver that in a way only Cadbury could. So to be very, very honest, you know, we had a really, really heavyweight package. You know, the Olympics afforded us wall-to-wall coverage with RTE. Our stings package, they needed to stay fresh because they were on so many times. So what we did was, we took these moments and the essence of what these moments depicted, And using, you know, cutting-edge motion capture technology, we created some stunning animation. And I hope you've all seen them, by the way. Personally, I was so proud to see how our brand could, you know, have such a beautiful take on these fantastic pieces of Irish history. And it was the basis of the campaign, but it wasn't all. Of course, you know, we had a fully through-the-line campaign with RTE as well. We looked for Ireland's greatest ever Olympic moment. So on, you know, Ireland's busiest website, RTE.ie, but also in store through QR codes on our POS. We got Irish consumers to vote to see what was the greatest Irish Olympic moment, which, by the way, was Michael Kraft. Added to that, you know, we had radio. We had a really, really heavyweight outdoor campaign. We also had PR and digital initiatives too. But there's one thing I want to talk about before I go, one other piece of work that we did that stands out. And I'm sure you've all heard London 2012 was the first social games. So it was the first games whereby Twitter, Facebook was widespread, where people could interact instantly to what they were seeing and what they were experiencing. Added to that, and we all do this, I can promise you, a thing called dual screen phenomenon. So when you're sitting watching TV and you're also messing with your phone as well in the process. So 2 screens. Bingo, we could capture the moment we're trying to depict, we could capture that moment in the moment. So we could capture Irish consumers enjoying the moment in the moment. First time ever we could probably do this. So we picked, you know, a number of moments, but the one I'm going to, you know, talk to you about is probably the ultimate one. So Katie's fight. So, you know, before, during and after Katie's fight, we conducted Ireland's first ever live social media integration in sponsorship. In real time, we asked consumers to, you know, tell us what they were feeling, you know, how they thought the fight was going to go, their emotions and their feelings post-fight. And that was on the outgoing ad break. On the incoming ad break then, by that time we would have lifted those comments off Facebook, off Twitter, and actually posted them on the incoming TV ad break, or the TV sting. So literally 2 minutes later, somebody could, who has just posted a tweet or posted a Facebook message, actually could see their comment live on TV. And you know, for us, it was just immense, because it was everything the campaign was to us. I'm actually going to give you one example. So a lady called Nicole Purcell, who I hope isn't in the audience this morning, most amazing boxing match ever. I'll remember it forever and be telling my grandkids, #enjoy the moment. So I cannot tell you how amazing it feels to see a campaign that you've pushed and pushed and pushed to actually come right back at you like that. It's just unbelievable. And it was bang on trend, bang on strategy as well, as you know, with our Enjoy the Moment campaign. So, you know, for me, you know, what does that tell me? It tells us our insight was bang on. Our partnership with RTE was bang on. Our activations in trade and also through the line were bang on. And it worked. 2.7 million adults, which is about 82% of the Irish adult population, saw our stings. Not only once, they saw them 47 times, which is the reason why we need to keep them fresh. And you know, there was records broken, you know, all over the place. So for example, RTE player site broke all records during those months too, where we had pre-rolls there too. And in terms of the Kraft business, we didn't do too badly either. So in those 4 weeks, those 4 Olympic weeks, the chocolate market grew by 2.9%, which is fantastic. But Kraft grew by 9.8%. So we had a really, really, really strong trip. And you know, what we did at that time obviously resonated with consumers. So, ladies and gentlemen, along with Katie, you know, at Olympic time, we were winners too. We did claim gold. And that essentially was and is the Enjoy the Moment Cadbury Games Time campaign.
Thanks, Karl. And just to summarise, I suppose there was an awful lot in Unwrapped Gold and in the Games Time, but we just wanted to give you a flavour of 2 pieces of activity that came together over the Olympics. And just to remind you all, the strategy was really around building anticipation up to the Games and then really upping the ante when the Games were on as well. And for me, I suppose the 2 big things that stood out when I look back and then the learnings on it the first one was the fact that the games actually weren't in Ireland was a huge challenge for us. And I remember like this time last year, a little bit more than that, when Ireland had qualified for the European Championships. And we're thinking it's all going to be about the European Championships, everyone's going to be talking about that, it's going to bring us back to the era of Ole and Jackie Charlton. And we had a decision to make at that point where we had the sponsorship and yet the games were in London. And we said, actually no, we're going to just go with this, we're going to absolutely own the feeling of the Olympics in the lead up to the games and during the games themselves. And that's exactly what happened. So the big learning for me and for Karl at the time was actually, we had the sponsorship and we absolutely went after it. We could have been distracted and gone after something else, but we stuck to what we'd signed up to. And then the second thing as well is the Cadbury brand, as I mentioned at the beginning, is such a strong brand, it's such a big brand. But it just shows when you have the right hook, and the sponsorship is certainly it, how you can continue to change the game and really get people and consumers thinking about you differently through the advertising. So that's it from myself and Karl.